The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and not necessarily those of WKTV Community Media.
Family-owned Palermo Pizza underwrites this episode of Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters Paranormal Podcast, located at 901 Gazan Parkway, Southwest Wyoming, and available at 616-531-8300.
I'm Brandon Jose of Jose Paranormal History Productions YouTube channel, and welcome to another episode of the Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters Podcast. Now, you may notice things look a little bit different from all our previous episodes, and if you've missed our last few, it's because Wayne had to step down due to family issues. So I'm going to give him a shout out right now, and thanks for all his hard work on all the other episodes, previous episodes of the show. Now, Wayne may come back as for a show here or there, and maybe if things get better down the road, he might rejoin as a host. But right now it's going to be me and Kim kind of leading the show. And on that note, I'm going to introduce Kim Colleen, co-host of the show.
Hi everybody, I'm Kim Colleen. I've been with the show almost since from the beginning. How many years has it been, Brandon?
Started in 2019.
Okay, so a couple years with the show, and this is episode 57. Right around there.
We're kind of out of order because we're recording this one before Wayne's last show, so it's okay. I can't remember the exact number because
so I've kind of been there from the beginning. Just to give a quick little background about me, I've been a paranormal investigator into the mysterious and unknown, I guess you could say, for about the last 5 or so years, maybe a little bit longer for the paranormal investigation stuff. But I used to also have a nonprofit organization called Tulip City Ghostbusters, where we would cosplay the Ghostbusters from the new and old movie and go around and do nonprofit organization help in terms of children's hospitals, organizations who raise money for other nonprofits that help other organizations. So that's kind of my background and how I got into it and got to know Wayne and Brandon. And welcome to our guest tonight. It's, let me see, St. Croix Paranormal Investigators, right?
Correct, yes.
Right? Okay, good.
Yeah, that's a tough one. People have a hard time with the St. Croix.
Yeah, but you're in Minnesota.
Right.
Yep. Right. And I watched some of your YouTube videos today of some of your prior investigations. You guys have got some good footage. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you.
I fully enjoyed watching your YouTube videos.
Yeah, thanks. We enjoy making them. It's kind of a little keepsake is kind of why we do it, at the end, plus we like to share with other people too, but yeah.
I like how you have, when you do like an investigation, you have like, it's sectioned out, like, okay, here's our EVPs, here's our ghost box sessions, and I'll tell you, I've never seen anybody capture as many orbs in my life is what you guys have.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is up with you and orbs?
Oh, I don't know. That was we haven't done the orb thing for a while with such the controversy, but our other team member, Donna, I think we like to break records on how many photos she can take somewhere. So I think the most she's had was like 2,500 photos in one location.
Oh my gosh.
So she just clickety click, click, click. She's actually captured a shadow figure at Ashmore Estates, standing in the hallway. And I think for her not just constantly clicking that camera, we would miss a lot of stuff. So
right. Is that the one where you click like 5? You did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it kind of captured the shadow going across the hallway?
No, we do it real old school. It's each button is a picture. So you have to manually push it each time. So it's not like that, because it's like an older regular digital camera, but you can put it into what they call night vision. It still uses the flash. And it doesn't make in black and white. It's just able to take a picture a lot better, versus like I've tried to take my cell phone and take pictures in pitch black, it won't work.
Yeah.
So this is just like an old digital. Gosh, we've probably had that thing for probably since we started the group in 2010. So
sometimes the old school stuff works the best.
Yeah, and I'm old, so I like the old school dinosaur stuff. So, it's new technology.
Yeah.
Teresa, she likes the new tech. She's the
I
new techie
do.
girl.
Yeah.
love
Well,
it.
anybody tell us a little bit about your group and how you got started and what your expertise is in.
Well, I've always been fascinated by the paranormal since I was a little kid. So I was kind of a weird child, but as I got older, I kind of had a lot of questions about death. Like I didn't want to die. I was afraid to die. Like I had to know, like I couldn't handle, death. That's it. I couldn't deal. So I kind of went on a quest to figure those answers out. So it wasn't really until we got to the advent of the TV shows that came out that I realized, oh my gosh, I can really go out and do this. And so then I kind of started doing that. So at first it was to prove for me the existence of spirits. And I feel through all the many years that we've done and just the knowledge and experience we've gained throughout the years that I've proven to myself there is another side. So I spent a lot of time on my research trying to figure out what's going on over there. So that's kind of my new thing. So it's like now I'm not so much afraid to die, but now I just want to know what's going on. So
Yeah.
which I think
Cool.
probably pretty much everybody does, I think is kind of some of the reasons why we get into it.
Mhm.
But that's been my main drive.
Cool. What about you, Teresa?
Oh boy, my grandmother's kind of the twisted one in my family, and she kind of, she used to take me to the graveyard and we'd read books and read the headstones and, and then I've had some experiences in my life that kind of, fascinated me and just wanted, leads you to want to know more. And so, my grandmother was kind of my driving force behind my, fascination with this
Yep.
whole thing. So, I'm just, I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love communicating with them. I love learning. And I just, there's just so much more out there that I just kind of want to figure out. So yeah, my grandma's really been my inspiration.
Okay.
For what
If
I'm doing.
Wayne was here, he would say sort of the same thing because if you know Wayne, if you've seen any of our past shows, he quite often would say that he got into the paranormal at a very, very young age because his grandfather kind of led him into this whole thing too and taught him the ways of the paranormal and how to investigate. Right, Brandon? Wasn't it like at a very young age, and Wayne's grandfather kind of put him into the path of the unknown sort of thing?
Yeah, it's like his grandfather shared a lot with him.
Yeah.
To go to different locations, and his grandfather would end up finding people's remains and stuff and walls and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
that's what his grandfather would tell him stories about. Then when he got like many years later, decades later, he kind of got involved in when he went to like another team's event.
Yep.
Very cool.
Didn't you have an early on experience too, Brandon, as a child, or how did you get into the paranormal?
Yeah, the house that I grew up in was haunted. So I had
Okay.
seen some different shadow people, as well as I'm not sure if it was an angelic being, because it like there was this one guy that I would see that, but he would emit his own light, like would light up the room. And then like I'd call to him and like, I'm like, what are you looking? Because he'd always be looking for something. Whenever I see him, he'd always be searching for something. Like, what are you looking for? He'd turn, look at me, and then disappear. And then the room would go back dark again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever said that story.
Yeah.
So you grew up in a haunted house.
Mm-hmm. And I felt like
how
that.
long did you live?
affected
How
me.
long did you live in your haunted house?
Probably from like 3rd grade through 10th or 11th grade.
Oh, you spent almost your whole childhood
Yeah.
with that dude running around your house.
Yeah.
Now, would he show up like all the time?
I would see him at other places too, because it
Oh
wasn't
my
just the
gosh.
one. The one that like would light up. The shadow figure, like, because that was after I prayed. So I felt like that was more of a being that was coming protecting me from the shadow, because the shadow figure was very negative energy. And I felt like that being was protecting me from the shadow figure.
Wow, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, I'm sure you watched some of their YouTube videos too, didn't you, Brandon?
Yeah. I was able to watch some of
Yeah.
it. And just on that
Yeah.
note too, like all our videos, I do post the link to my YouTube channel where you can catch the old Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters. And I'll be posting the St. Croix Paranormal in the description. So you can find their channel as well.
Awesome.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about some of your most, let's just say, haunted locations that you guys have visited in the past. I know you've got quite a few YouTube videos up there There's one of us asylum that you guys went to. Can you talk a little bit about some of your most haunted locations and what experiences kind of moved you?
Oh gosh, there's just so many. It's almost
I
like
know.
you have a special spot for like everyone, because each one had, you know, a special meaning. So I mean, I guess like my first one you'll never forget is Villisca Ax Murder. That was my very first one I ever went to. I mean, we had done a couple, private homes and some businesses, but this is my first. Oh, I'm gonna sleep here. I'm gonna
Yeah.
and we just had some incredible activity. I was actually really terrified to be there because again, that was my first time.
Mhm.
And so me and my friend Krista were like sleeping facing each other, like, don't roll over, you have to just stay right here. So, but
I can
so it
imagine.
was, and now it's just like, going to bed. So it's so funny how it used to be from, when you first started. But just some really credible experiences, right from the get-go. Like the Rem pod was going off
Mhm.
for us. So that was pretty cool. They have like the old grates that go through the floor. So we had like pebbles like being thrown at us from upstairs. And I was like, gosh, I thought we were being nice. I don't know why you're throwing pebbles at us, but yeah, just kind of a lot of weird stuff. But then when we got home, of course, you get a lot of that evidence when you get home. We got the most awesome Class A EVPs I've ever heard in my entire life of the kids. And they were actually, we would get the voices of them actually talking to each other, because one said, you want to play? And the other one's like, no way. And then
my-
like the other one, one of the girls, so we think it was, or no, I'm sorry, it was one of the boys. He said, no, Lena, no. Like she was going to do something. And Lena was one of the Stringer sisters that got, killed there. That wasn't a relative. But I heard she likes to do things to the guests, and mess with them and play with them.
Okay.
So I don't know if she was about to do something. And then the older boy's like, no, Lena, no, like, don't do that. So it's
Sure.
just crazy to get these awesome EVPs, and like we had walked in and we're like, is anybody home? And you get an EVP, we're right here, so it's just like, it was just the most incredible, once we got back, and getting some of the evidence it was just
I
amazing.
love
And
the
I think,
kids. The kids
yeah,
are just,
and
because they just want to play and like
yeah,
interact. They tend to be more like gung ho and like want to jump in and do something with
yeah,
compared to like the older spirits. But the little ones just, they're so playful.
I saw you
yeah.
guys have used the technique of like the teddy bear,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, there's a certain name for that teddy bear, isn't there?
Yeah, I think it's like the Boo Buddy Bear.
Yeah.
We have different versions of them. Like I have the very, very first one that the company put out. They don't have another one like them. I totally wish they would make them back like they did the very first protocol. I think he's the best one. And then I think we have the junior, and then Teresa, you just got that little dude.
Yeah, he's
the
like
other day.
the white version of the Boo Buddy Junior, because they had the brown one and then the white one. So I just got the white one, but I think they're the same. Mine's just a little different bear design, but same
The
concept.
concept is similar, right? Apparently you set this thing out and there's ones like if you touch it, it'll like make a sound. Isn't there other ones that like do more of an EMF?
Yeah.
And
So
will
we do
go
have
off
one
by EMF, or some by touch and some by EMF, or
Yeah, right. Because the one that you touch make an alarm. So we have one of those as well. And then the three, like basically the Boo Bear Juniors, they're more like you say, they're more like a Rem pod action where you have to get
Yep.
there and touch, where the other one you actually have to physically touch it. It's like this one you just have to break that barrier, create that
Okay.
electromagnetic field around the bear, and then it's going to go off, because most of them, like one paw light up if it's a low, both paws will light up if it's heavy energy.
Okay.
So yeah, so that'll kind of help you with what's going on as well.
Brandon,
So,
have you ever had interaction with children before? And what kind of methods do you use specifically if you know if there's a child spirit?
We have used like the toy. I don't have the Boo Buddy bear, but we've kind of used different ones where we've set up different meters, like buy a toy, and then stuff like that, and like asked if, like, oh, can you go up there and touch it or whatever. I know that's where Wayne got. I think it was when he was with his original team
Yeah.
before, like Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters, where he had gotten the one ghost saying, "Michael, touch it," for like one of the toys. So that was like a really good EVP that he had captured before.
That's awesome.
Trying to do that, yeah.
And I know you guys are big on using Rem Pods too. So are there different kinds of Rem Pods that you use, or is it just like a one size fits all? And what's your method of using the Rem Pods? Do you put them in certain locations that you know of?
Oh, we just have so many. We just put them out wherever we think they're going to get
Yeah.
a hit, where
Yeah.
you think
Yep.
there's going to be something good. But we kind of have a lot of the older school ones. Teresa's got a Rem Pro that we wish they'd make again because we want that
Okay.
again.
That one's nice
Okay.
because it has a musical mode on it. So you can just have like a straight alert tone on that one, or you can change it so that it's more of like a musical tone. So yeah, I really wish
Okay.
they would make another one of those, but they don't, unfortunately.
There was one video that you guys had. It sounded like, honest to God, it sounded like a fire alarm going off. Like it was, I don't know what video it was. I can't remember now, but it was it was in a hallway and you guys were in another main room and you were like, thank you, because this person was touching a REM pod or something was touching it. And it sounded, the alarm was really different. Like I hadn't really heard of that sort of REM pod before, but
Yeah. Yeah. Some
Yep.
of them have a little bit different alarms so we can kind of differentiate, which is
yeah,
kind of nice, because you get sometimes different manufacturers or different people that have stuff. So that it kind of helps you a little bit too. So you're like,
Yeah,
oh, that's the one
totally.
down the hallway, that kind of thing. But sometimes you just, well,
Mhm.
I don't know which one it is, but something went off. So it's like,
yeah, no kidding. So tell me about another haunted location that you guys, it's very memorable for you. What about the asylum that you went to?
we've been to a few
Okay.
different asylums. Randolph County Infirmary in Indiana was a fun one. Teresa can elaborate on that one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I mean, my highlight though has still been Waverly.
Oh yeah, Waverly. That's a good one too.
I mean,
I
that's
feel-
like everybody's
Yeah.
bucket list asylum, but like that body shoot in Waverly was just like insane. You just don't experience stuff like that, a lot. So that was pretty great. Like it was you'd hear footsteps coming up the stairs and then you'd go down towards it and get down towards the bottom and then they would be at the top of the stairs. And so, we tried to sandwich like somebody from the top and the bottom and try and catch it in the middle, but then it was like you just couldn't catch it no matter what you did. And they were knocking back and you could hear audible voices and it was
Good
just
grief.
awesome. It was so cool in there.
Now you
Yeah.
guys have been touched before. I
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
some of your
Yeah.
team members have gotten touched and scratched and stuff like that. So what do you do in those circumstances? I mean, do you just like, I'm out of here? Or do
Well,
you
I
say
don't-
like, well, that we're going to deal with it, but this is how we're going to handle it?
I don't get as touched much. Once in a while, like I'll get like a little tug or something. But Teresa, we like to call her our paranormal punching bag. So I'll just let her
Oh,
elaborate on
no.
all her experiences
Yeah,
there.
I have been told by multiple people that I have a beacon of light shining above me. So I'm just like, they're attracted to me. And I'm not
Sure.
psychic or anything. I just kind of, I just feel like open, I guess, to them.
Mhm.
And I've been scratched quite a few times actually. Usually I just set a boundary
Yep.
with my body. And I don't think they're trying to hurt me. Sometimes I think they want to, get your attention. So
Sure.
usually I just set a boundary and say, hey, like, here's what I have that you can use, but you're not allowed to do that again,
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been scratched, quite a few times. I've been pushed. I've had my knee kicked in from like the back.
Oh yeah. Were you like
Almost.
buckle?
Yeah, where you buckle. Yeah, that's happened. My legs have been hugged. Like I get touched quite a bit
Huh.
for some odd reason. I don't know what it is.
That's really weird. I was on an investigation once too, where we felt like there was a very evil presence there. And we had maybe like about 10 people with us and we were all in a circle doing a spirit box session. And the young man, he was maybe in his 20s, had all of a sudden buckled over and was like, ouch, like that, like had some severe pain, all of a sudden just hit him like that. And sure enough, we had see the scratch. You could actually see the finger marks going
Yeah.
down his back. and you could see that they were fresh and they were raised. It wasn't bleeding or anything, but it was quite intense. Like I had never seen anything like that before, and
Yeah,
that freaked me out.
you hear on TV a lot. You'll hear like it feels hotter, like that burn or whatever. And it does. That's what it feels like. You know, you feel that hot, that kind of hot sensation and the burning, and then you just kind of, oh, there's a scratch. But yeah, I hear it on TV all the time. That's how they describe it.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Well, Brandon, what did you have questions for the ladies tonight? What kind of question did you, after kind of investigating their group, what did you have for the ladies tonight?
Well, they did have an appearance on My Ghost Story with the shadow
cool.
figure at Pub Monique. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. There's a local bar in downtown Stillwater. It's not Pub Monique anymore. It's changed hands many times since then. But just a lot of history there. So it was back in the day, the Stillwater, pretty much most of Stillwater is haunted. It's an old lumberjack town. So there's just a lot of death that has occurred in that area as well. But this particular one, there's actually a prostitute who was thrown out the window and she fell to her death. So there was that known death. And then some of the old owners, I think, were really attached to the place. But they had a lot of history as far as, just bar activity, like the dartboards turning on, beer bottles, booze just getting thrown on the floor. People had seen, lady upstairs. So just a lot of activity. So we came in one night after close to do an investigation. We actually audibly heard a voice up in the rafters. We heard a woman say something. I don't know what she said, but you audibly heard a woman say something. Just kind of a lot of weird activity. But the main thing that was weird is we were upstairs and it was a hot summer day, super hot and real humid. And I mean, they had the air on, but it wasn't like, because it was so hot and humid, it doesn't really keep up with it. But we were up there thinking about, hey, let's run a spirit box session. And then just before I said that, it got ice cold, like so cold. Like I was like rubbing my arms like, oh my gosh, I'm freezing. And then we both looked up and we were up on the second floor. So like, this isn't like anybody walking from downstairs. We both looked up and we saw like this shadow go across the windows, and it's real fast, almost like strobe like motion in a way, but it was a black solid, but you could tell it was like, I guess if you could almost say like the Grim Reaper shape kind of thing, just super fast. And I was just looked at Chris, I go, did you just see that? And she's like, I did just see that. And then we actually ended up catching that on film. So that was pretty cool to verify that not only did we see it, did we not, we also captured it on film. So that was just really cool. And then, getting flown out to LA and stuff and doing the whole story, that was just it was super fun. It's kind of fun.
Cool. That's that I've never watched that show before, but what is it called again?
It's My Ghost Story. They don't have it anymore. I wish they would bring it back, but I liked it better because it was actually, people like, myself and other people who've had experiences with evidence they captured, and you get to show it, talk about it, and kind of go over. So it's kind of a little fun stories, like real facts. And the stories are real short, like 15 minutes or so. So
it's one of the bigger shows though, Jill. Like
back in the day, yeah.
You can still find it though. Yeah, it's called My Ghost Story Caught on Camera. And
okay.
But yeah, I mean, you can still find the episodes, if you just look them up, you can still
how did they find you? Did you contact the show then, Jill, or did they find you somehow?
Yeah, I submitted to it, and like 2 days later they got back to me, because I told them what I found, and then they wanted to see what I had, and then then you had to do like a little test thing, so then you had to like film yourself interviewing yourself, and then you submit all that, and if they like it, then they'll take you and they'll fly you out there. So
oh my gosh, how exciting.
It was super fun. Yeah, it was a good experience, to do. Just to say, and then I got my 15 minutes of fame, I guess.
What year was that?
That was when we first started, actually, in 2010. So Pub Monique at that time had been one of the very first businesses that we had conducted an investigation at.
Okay, so if somebody wanted to look that up, it would be right around 2010. I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah, but it's on our website as to what actual
Okay.
episode. I should remember this because people ask me all the time. But if there is an episode number, so it would be easier to search and find. So
Oh,
and
okay.
it's
Okay.
interesting. It's kind of a hunt and peck, but it can be found. I have found it, and unfortunately, I can't like release it on my own because I had to sign a waiver. I can't do
Sure.
it. So yeah.
Yep, that's cool. Did you have something else, Brandon, on your list that you wanted for topics to come up to talk about?
I figured we should talk about the Boyd house since that's one you purchased.
Yeah.
About that location.
That's always a good thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, with that, with all our traveling around, you kind of came up with that, wouldn't that be kind of fun to have your own place, your own place you can go anytime that you want and do your own research, and then getting to know the spirits. I feel like they would, connect with you a little bit more. And so financially in 2018, I was able to purchase such said location. So I started out with just a general, my realtor knew I was looking for a haunted location. She knew what I did. And, because nobody, advertised, hey, my house is haunted, you want to buy it? So,
Yep.
which I wish we had a, website like that. I'm sure there's a few things out there, but anyway, so I just kind of did my own criteria. So I would look, and if I kind of got a gut feel like, oh my God, this house looks amazing, this looks like what I want, then I would go and investigate it. So I went on several different ones, but then when I came across the Boyd house, I was just really, really drawn to it. Like, I just loved it. Like, I like, it's like when you find something, you're like, this is the one, this is the one,
Yep.
and that's how it was for me, even before I had gotten there. And so then myself and Donna went and took a look at it. She's another one of our teammates, and we were waiting for the realtor, and I was like, gosh, do you kind of like feel like somebody's staring at you through the attic window? And she's like, yep, didn't want to say anything, but yep. So we went in there, we did a little mini investigation. I put up a Rem pod, and in about 8 minutes that went off in what's now known as the library. And then we did get a couple spirit box responses. One was a woman that said, who are you? So she's probably like wondering, what's going on? Because nobody talks to us, so it's like, so it was all like new to them. So then I was like, well, I didn't get a ton of stuff, but I kind of have a good feel. So let me check with the medium that I trust a lot. And she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, there's 6 spirits there, a couple children. What was interesting, she said, so I didn't tell her I was buying it yet. I was just inquiring. And she goes, so the first night you stay there, you're going to meet the guy who comes in from the backyard because he likes to garden, and he's going to come in, you're going to meet him. And I was like, and that happened on my first night. So
Okay.
it was weird that she said that, and I hadn't even made an offer on the house yet. And then to even top that off even more, as we got to know people in the neighborhood and stuff, there's a girl in town who sees spirits, and she told me she didn't know anything that me talking to the psychic. She says, yeah, I see a guy out in the garden there, and he walks in your back door all the time. So it's like she sees him.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was kind of good validation. But then I also checked with the previous owners who were really reluctant to talk about it. But they did have some stuff that when they lived there, but I think they kind of came to terms as raising their family there. It's like, you don't talk to us, we don't talk to you. Let's just have our boundaries. But the mom said she would hear like old time music playing sometime. The kids, as now that I know them as adults, have come forward and talked to me like, oh gosh, yeah, I'd see a man sitting in a chair all the time, and my friends would stay over and their feet would get touched, and like they just started kind of coming forward, and now that they've seen some of the evidence, I think they feel more comfortable coming forward to talk about some of their experiences. And because I do know one of them said, oh my gosh, I grew up and all the people in my neighborhood thought I was crazy for all these things I was seeing. And so I think that's why it became a hush hush thing that nobody wanted to discuss.
Well, it's probably scared the bejeenies out of them at first.
Right,
They probably just didn't want to, think that people didn't want them to think they were crazy or something.
Oh,
it's not like you talk to your neighbors and so, by the way, I got touched last night by some ghostly gardener.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
They'll be like, see you later. I don't think I need to have coffee with you anymore.
Right. So yeah. So then anyway, so that's how that kind of all got started. And so that it's just been a crazy roller coaster of getting evidence and different experiences since then.
So is that where you live full time, or is this just a
no.
house?
Nope, I don't live there. So when we get down there, we do a little bit of paranormal research, but we allow other paranormal investigative teams to come in and do investigations as well.
Oh, that's
so
fun.
It's kind of nice too, because you can collaborate too and see what kind of evidence they get.
Mhm.
You know, and you learn from other people's techniques. You know, I can kind of go off, and then also, like, a lot of times when, like, especially if they do like a Facebook live feed or something, then when I come back the next week, I'm like, hey, I saw so and so did this and you touched the light, that was super awesome, you know. So I kind of get a little bit more of a connection, you know, that way too. So it's
Yeah.
been
So
fun.
have
A
you
lot of
gotten
fun.
have you gotten to know who your residents are there?
Yeah, we figured out for sure. We know that Fred Eckert is one that's definitely there. He was one of the owners of the house in 1912 is when
Okay.
his family moved in. Him and his wife both died in the house, but they were his wife was Minnie. Her funeral was actually held in the living room for 3 days. So she was there. Two of their children actually passed away in the house as well. One actually choked to death
Oh,
when
geez.
he was, I think, between 3 and 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Hold on. Just let me take care of this dog. Brandon, keep going.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
So anyway, so Fred was a very well-respected businessman in town. So he owned his own store. They sold like fancy things, you know, they're more of a higher end type store. And then he was part of the town. So he was like, what'd you find out the other day, constable? Is that what you said?
He was a justice of the peace.
A justice of the peace, that's right. And then he also, I know he was on like the fire department. He helped build the church in town with his family.
He signed
so-
the declaration of the opening of the church as well. Because
Yeah.
that was a thing back then, apparently, that they always had a declaration of the church, like the original members and stuff. So I
Mhm.
know he signed that too.
Yeah, so so Fred's been really, really well known in the house. We've even had a lot of mediums and psychics having some interaction with him. We've gotten his name many, many times. So we think his wife's there. She never will say her name, but I always have somebody who kind of sounds kind of crabby all the time. Kind of, she's always got that kind of smoky voice, you know, like I said, I
Yeah.
don't know if she smokes cigarettes, but she's always got something crabby or snarky to say. Like she's just
She
like,
wanted you to
"Ah."
get me out of there. Remember that?
Oh yeah. She didn't like Teresa. She told her to get her out of here.
I had to suck up to Minnie for so long and to win her love, because I was kind of flirting with her husband a little bit. I didn't really think about it, you know, and then not flirting. I was just making comments. And then we got an EVP that said, get her out of here. So then I felt terrible. I was like, oh my gosh, Minnie, you know, why did I not think about that? So then Jill told me she liked ferns. So I had to bring like a make the peace fern and apologize and grovel a little bit. And then I told, you know, we'd put a Rem pod by it, and I asked her if she just light it up if she forgives me, and she did. So
Oh,
Yeah.
yay.
Yeah.
we're
Yeah, then
okay with each other.
she used that REM pod to interact with us for a good 5 minutes or so.
Mhm.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
we were like, use that, touch it if the answer's yes, you know, that kind of thing. And so yeah, she
Mhm.
was happy with the fern, and then she told us exactly where this brand new picture I bought, where she wanted it. So it's now we're exactly where she told me to put it, based on the answers on the REM pod. So I like walked around going, here.
Oh, for Pete's sake. That's
So-
hilarious.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you've got 2 people that you know of for sure who are residents.
We've actually had a total of, I believe, 5 deaths in the house. Everything we know is been natural, other than
Mhm.
the choking to death. But I did have a psychic say you did have a few people who died of TB there, but you're not going to find that on the record. So I don't
Okay.
know if maybe possibly that she would have been taking care of somebody who was ill and they passed away in the home, that kind of thing. So we got to start doing a little bit more research if we can. Like when we first went to the Historical Society, we didn't have a whole lot to go with. And then we kind of got the deed and everything. So we got to start knowing who was actually on the deed. So we just haven't had a chance to get back with COVID and just schedules and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
To get there to get things figured out. So
So the gardener guy, is that Fred then?
it is Fred. Yeah.
Okay.
His great grandson still lives in town. So I met up with him And he told me many, many stories about his family, which was really cool. And so, yeah, I just learned so much about his family through the great grandson.
That's awesome. Has he ever wanted to come investigate and like talk to
He's
grandpa?
no, he's not into the ghost stuff at all, but he has been over to the house because he'll bring pictures and we've had him over for stuff, and he's actually the town historian.
Oh,
So if we have any
cool.
questions and stuff, so he's a really fun man to talk to.
Here's my
That's really
pain in the
put people
butt.
in the house.
Here he is.
Here he is. He's a pain tonight.
What a
Yeah.
cutie.
So what else you got, Brandon, for the girls?
I seen Ashmore Estates was another place you had investigated.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Teresa had a lot more interaction that night. We were actually just talking about that one today on the way home from the Boyd House. But yeah,
Oh,
you
cool.
can tell them some of the stories of that, Teresa, over at Ashmore.
That was the Ashmore was the when they touched all of the equipment, right? That was Ashmore.
Yeah, when Donna's like, just one more time.
Oh,
yeah,
we were in the basement. One of our other members of the group, Alex, and then Donna. We were in the basement and we had a few different pieces of equipment, you know, the K2 and the Rem Pod and the millimeter. And there was a piano in the room as well. And we were trying to get them to communicate and they were not cooperating until I said, if you don't want us in here, you can touch any single one of these pieces of equipment and we will leave. And I said, if you really don't want us in here, you can touch all of them. Every single piece of equipment in that room, like just lit up like instantly. And so I was like, okay, we got to go. And Donna goes, just one more question. She just like wanted, you know, she just wanted,
Yeah.
Because it just, you know, that once they do something, you're like, oh,
It's
no,
like,
I'm
now
gonna
we've got your
stay.
attention.
Yeah, but no, I'm like, no, we promise we have to go. You know, you have to follow through, or it's just, you know, it's
Mhm.
disrespectful. And, you know, when you're in their space. So we had to walk. She wasn't happy about it, but then we sent Jill down and I'm like, I never said we weren't going to have someone else go down. I just said I would leave. So there's always a way around that somehow, but
Yeah, I didn't get much when I went back down, but I've had a similar experience too. Like, you know, what are the odds of like all your equipment going off on the same time? It's pretty rare to have
Yeah.
happen. And only one other time, I don't know, maybe it's Donna. I have no idea. But anyway, I was with Donna and we were doing a local business downtown and it was being kind of quiet. But we heard that the spirit doesn't like women hanging around too much longer. Like if it starts getting late, he just wants everybody to go, just get out of here. It was like midnight or something. And I'm like, if you could just do one thing, for just one grand gesture, we'll get out of here. And every piece of equipment in every room went off at the same time. We had Rem Pods, K2s, everything was just going off, bells and whistles. And I'm like, okay, dang it, I don't want to go now.
Yeah, I know, really.
But yeah,
that's
I mean,
what it
just
is.
to have everything like that, it's just amazing when that happens. You almost feel like
Oh,
the
yeah.
electricity in the air too. When it does that, it's crazy.
You kind of feel, you have some of that, don't you, Brandon, where you can kind of sort of feel energy and stuff like that? You're not a medium or a
Yeah,
psychic
kind of
or
medium.
anything.
There are definitely locations where I can walk into, whether it's on an investigation or not. I go, okay, there's energy here. There's at least a
Yeah.
residual energy or a living, or at least a spirit there. Like you just kind of feel like that charge,
yeah.
like in certain locations.
Right. But you've had some really good ghost experiences too, and with apparitions appearing in front of you and so forth.
Yeah.
You should tell the girls about that one guy who was like didn't he have like a polyester suit on and he was like in the office and
Well,
wasn't-
this is one. It was at it's this radio station.
that's right.
It has it's about 4 or 5 different radio stations all in this building in Grand Rapids, and because like one of the DJs called us in because they're in a soundproof booth, you know, and like they were getting EVPs in the soundproof room, like on when she's recording stuff or whatever, and like her soundboard kept getting turned off, and she's like, the soundboard's way over here, because like the producer was like, stop turning your soundboard off. She's like, I'm not, it's way over there. I'm not touching that switch. I'm not anywhere near it. And so we go in there to investigate, and we're inside of their radio station. There's like a little window in the door, and you can see down the hallway. So as I see this guy come walking down, he was kind of like wearing like almost kind of like a basketball warm-up kind of looking jacket. It's like black with like red stripes, and he comes walking down and then turns into this one room right before like getting to the radio station. It was like really quick or whatever. I described what he looked like, and the DJ's like, "Oh, we know who that is." It's like he used to work here. He like passed away like not too long ago, and like in the room you seen him turn into was actually used to be his office.
Mhm.
So then when Dan and Wayne were the other team members or what, they were on the radio station, his wife actually called in. She was like, "I know who you're talking about. That was my husband."
Oh
So that was a pretty amazing experience.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool.
That's awesome.
yeah.
And you guys, like you and Wayne too, you've been to different places like where you've gotten touched and where wasn't it Al again?
Yeah.
Was that the jail?
Yeah, that was the one that was the most uncomfortable one, because like I walked into the cell, obviously I felt being grabbed inappropriately. And then so I kind of got out of there, and I had like the sensation of a heart attack because I was kind of like leaving that area. And when I went back there later, because like the lights were off, so I couldn't see, and I had like lovers laying over top of that particular cell. So
Oh.
that was
Lovely.
very interesting experience.
I don't think you've ever said that they've had lovers laying over
That's
top
what I
of
had.
that
At the time, I
cell.
didn't know that 'cause I couldn't see it because we were in the dark. When I went there
Oh, was
later,
it like a
the
neon
lights-
sign or
I'm
something?
like, no wonder why I had that feeling going in there.
Oh, no. That's not good.
No.
Do you guys have like a piece of equipment that you feel like this is your go-to, like this is the greatest thing ever?
For me, I like the spirit box and pretty much
Yeah.
any version of the spirit box. You know, we have the portal, the S box, the SB11, some hack shacks. We have everything. So it's like, because I just love the science behind it. You know,
Yeah.
absolutely love the science. I mean, I've gotten like full sentences. I've gotten swear words. I only
Oh,
run
yeah.
mine. I only
I've
run
been
mine on
I've been called the
AM,
B
so
word
we-
and you name
Yep.
it. Yep.
Yep, yep, and full sentences and stuff. So but some like some of my favorite ones with like the spirit box. So we were running it actually at the Boyd house. And like I said, their last name is Eckert. And I have their wedding photo hanging up in the bedroom. And I pointed to the picture and I said, is anybody here? Any one of these people in the photo? And just right through the spirit box, I said, do you mean the Eckerts? So it's like exactly knowing, like, so what are the odds of that?
And
gonna be
that's not
sad.
something that would be running on the radio waves. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
Oh.
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
like,
yes.
That's
So,
not
yeah,
that's not something that you would just come over like on a radio station
Right.
somewhere.
exactly. And then one of my other favorite ones that I've gotten, we were actually doing a house in downtown Stillwater. We went there, the man had us over because his entire family was having experiences and he didn't believe a darn thing in ghosts at all. He was a very, I don't know how many letters, PhDs, doctorates, everything after this man's name, but he had a ton of them. Very
Mhm.
intelligent man. I explained the science behind the spirit box. And he had an old house that belonged to a historic riverboat captain in town named Captain Jenks. And I was running the spirit box and I says, whose house is this? Plain as day, it said Captain Jenks. And I made him a believer that day.
Oh,
that
I
was-
bet.
That was so cool.
That was a cool house.
Yeah, that was a really cool
That was-
house. Plus,
I
he
mean-
played the part really well. He dressed cool. So it was like,
Yeah.
he dressed all in like old Victorian clothing and answered the door with a glass of wine and everything. He's like, welcome to my home. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
How
So,
can
yeah.
you not believe in spirits if you dress like that?
Yeah, I don't know. He was a super cool man. He's moved away now, but yeah, that was just an awesome day.
I'm kind of
That's
lame.
cool.
I just like my K2 meter like a lot. Like it's all, I always have a K2 meter in my hand. I mean, I swear that thing's glued to it. I love that thing. I want immediate, I like anything that gives me like immediate satisfaction. Like I want
Okay.
to hear what they say now. I want to know what they're doing now. I don't want to go home and find out later because then how am I going to respond to it later? You know, but
Right.
even though I love getting the evidence later, but I like anything that will give me satisfaction now. I think my favorite moment, I think, still is at Boyd House. Donna and I were in the attic and we had the spirit box running. I think it was SB7. And it was so loud. It was above the sound of the white noise. And we heard a lady go, yoo-hoo. Like, it was so loud. It felt like it was like right in your ear, you know, and it's just such a, like, it's, you know, a simple word, but like, it just, you could hear the tone, you know,
Yeah.
like it was like right
yoo-hoo.
there. So it was, yeah, it was just, that was cool at Boyd House. Like,
Did you
the
know
audible-
why she was yoo-hooing you?
Well, no, I don't. We were just
Oh.
trying to, we were just, we were just talking to him like normal, trying to get him to do something, say something, you know. And I think I was saying, is anybody here? And then nobody was really responding to me. And it's funny because it didn't even come through on the spirit box, which I thought was bizarre. It was like just, you know, an audible voice.
Because usually when you do a yoo-hoo, it's like, I'm here.
Yeah,
you know,
so she
I
was
wanna
probably
talk to you.
trying. Yeah, she was probably trying to say, hey, I'm here, but we didn't, you know, we weren't paying attention. So it's, you know, that got our attention. for
Yeah.
sure.
How do you guys handle not taking a spirit home with you from a haunted location? How do you guys handle that?
Well,
You have a
I usually
method?
I usually just try to say a little prayer to myself, but
Okay. Yep.
Teresa's had some stuff happen more so with her, and Alex has had something follow him home too one time.
Oh, really?
yeah, he
Yeah.
was-
A couple times I have. I mean, I really like to go around and make sure, like, I'm a huge boundaries person with spirits. I
Yeah.
think that's the best thing you can do is lay out boundaries. But I'll say, look, this is where you stay. I'm going back to my house. That's not your space. It's not your place. Like, you know, so I just, yeah,
Yep.
we were,
Nope, don't do that.
where
That
was
was kind
that,
of a
Joe?
spooky thing there.
I know,
Any
sorry.
lights are flashing. That's-
Sorry, my kid just came. Sorry. I am not in a haunted house whatsoever. I am not. The only thing haunted around here is my 8-year-old. So
Yeah.
You're 8-year-old.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so we Brandon and I know quite a few other investigators that are highly into crystals and use a lot of protection when they go out and about ghost hunting. They use protection crystals. Now, do you guys dabble in that and all? With
I do carry
crystals or-
obsidian with me quite a bit.
Yeah.
I've been drained by spirits before. So I do carry that with me. It actually
Yeah.
is quite helpful. And I
Okay.
use that to kind of keep the bad things away too. So
That's a popular one. We know quite a few people who specifically carry that crystal around with them.
yeah.
Jill, do you believe anything with crystals and protection? What do you use?
Not too much. When I first started, I was pretty good about it. I had like this like an amulet almost to help protect you and just only attract good spirits. So I used to keep that in my pocket, and then I kind of got away from that. I don't know. I think I just kind of use a lot of my inner faith at this point to kind of keep me to keep from what I feel is safe. I had one experience that was just odd one time where we were actually at a schoolhouse and there was supposed to be like some negativity with this. And I kind of felt like several times, like if I went off by myself, I kind of felt like somebody was following me or getting right on, on my back almost. And then I didn't realize this, but apparently later when I got home on the film footage, like people were calling me a bee and I was just really rude. And then I was watching the film, I was yelling at people. I was screaming and yelling at people for absolutely no reason. And that is not me. And I had no recollection that any of this happened. So I had to call everybody and apologize. And I'm like, you guys, it's not me. So you have to take me out of the situation when this happens. So we had a long discussion about that. But that was like the only time that anything I would say odd has happened.
So you were literally possessed at that time.
I wouldn't say like so possessed, but like something kind of had a hold
influenced
over
by
me.
their emotion for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I even had like one of the guys came up, we were on the floor and I was getting some K2 interaction, and this is a floor that has no power, so you shouldn't be getting any K2. And he just happened to walk by and I started screaming at him like, why are you up here? You're interrupting everything I'm doing. I can't believe you're here. And I was just like, and he's just like, okay. And then he like, so I mean, this is Teresa knows me. This is not how I am. I do not yell at people. So, I get frustrated sometimes, but I don't sit and scream at people.
No.
So it was just kind of a weird especially not really having a recollection. And then when you see it back on film, you're like, whoa, what happened? What transpired here? So that was kind of
My God.
oddball.
That is really weird. But where are we at in time here, Brandon? Are we getting close to wrapping up?
We probably got maybe about 15 minutes or so.
Okay,
So would probably be good.
okay.
Like, talk
So,
about 10 minutes and then just do kind of like closing stuff.
okay. So anything else you guys think that would benefit from our viewers getting to know you guys, or other experiences that you'd like to talk about tonight for our viewers?
I always what about Whispers? I always like what that was my that's my highlight trip. Like in my entire career of investigating.
You never wanted to go back. You hated it.
Oh no.
I do not. I will never go back to Whispers. But it was still something that's like probably the most epic thing that's ever happened to me, and terrified me. But that was Whispers Estate in Indiana.
Okay.
And
what is Whispers Estate? What is that? I don't know what that is.
It's Jill, you know more of the history on the Whispers Estate.
Yeah, it's an old basically Victorian house, but back in the day there was a doctor there, so his doctor office was there. That's how they did it back in the day. And so he did apparently a lot of unethical things with his patients, especially female patients.
Oh, great.
They buried a lot of body parts in the backyard. His daughter caught on fire and he mercy killed her with morphine. They had a child fall down. They had a guy who on the day of his retirement dropped dead of a heart attack in front of a closet. So there's a lot of negative energy now with that closet. So they just had several deaths, a lot of negativity.
People were bit there. Like they had like an actual photo album of people's injuries.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like scratches. Some guy had his ear like bit, and it was a huge chunk, like gash on his ear. So it was just like, we kept feeling like there were spider webs all, that feeling when you just can't.
Yeah. It was like nonstop.
Yeah.
I've never felt anything like that. Like, you'll get that every now and then, like, I feel cowboy, but it was like constant, everybody all night. One of the guys even went outside halfway through, never came back in the rest of the night. He's like, I can't handle it anymore. I can't deal with it.
Oh my gosh.
And I even saw like wet footsteps coming up from the basement that led to outside. I'm like, where did those come from? So it was just kind of like a crazy, crazy night. And then Teresa,
I saw a shadow figure that night too. Remember?
That's right. She
wanted to protect me.
Yeah.
So she watched over me while I slept because of that incident there. The closet was a bad place. The ladies there, that were kind of caretaking the place, they would not go upstairs if that closet door was open. So it was a bad place. So naturally, Teresa, I want to go in there. Let's see what happens.
Where? Let me add it.
The closet, let's do it. But people the door had been slammed and people have been locked in there. So there was like a folding chair, and I was leaned back in the folding chair with my foot out holding the door just so that it wouldn't, slam and I'd be stuck. And Jill, you had a kind of a voice or a thought came in your head, right?
Yeah, we were in there getting ready to. Now you got to think. Most people think little tiny closets. No, it's like a big walk-in closet, goes way back. They had a table in there. There's a lot of room in this closet.
Yeah.
So I'm in there, and I don't like closets anyway, so I just kind of chucked it off to I'm just being weird. But I heard a voice in my head that was like real authoritative that said, shut this door. So I decided I'm just going to go out of the closet. I left poor Teresa because I thought it was just me being my weird, don't like to be in a closet behavior. And then the spirit box, I forgot what it said about shutting the door. The spirit box said something, and we didn't do that either.
It did say shut that door though.
Oh, that's what the spirit box said. That's what it told me. It said, get out of this closet. That's what it told me in the head. Get out of the closet. And the spirit box said, shut the door, which we didn't do that either. And so then that's what happened to you.
So I'm sitting on this chair, and it was one swift motion. That chair lifted and launched me straight forward about 5-6 feet. like literally tossed me like a rag doll across this floor. And it was terrifying. Like I had been scratched earlier as well. Actually on the tour, right after we got there, I had been scratched. So yeah, I mean, that thing threw me and it was like instant tears. Woo! You know, because
Oh no.
it was terrifying. And so yeah, I felt bad there. Like it just didn't feel good. So, you know.
Well, obviously something didn't want you there.
No, I don't think it liked me very much.
Yeah.
It had it out for me from the time I walked in the door. So
Yeah, I don't think it liked us much either. I think it's the ladies that were caretaking were pretty in tune with the house. And after they
that was
heard,
this, remember we had the spirit box running
yeah,
and they came
then-
running upstairs and we met
well, they
them.
heard the thud because you fell. You got
That's
thrown.
how I fell. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they came and they said that the house woke them up and told them that they were angry that we were being too noisy.
They
So,
said the house doesn't like that, is what they
Yeah.
said. They don't like the noise of the spirit box. The house doesn't like that.
yeah,
Which kind of
Oh
weirded
my
me. That's a
God.
weird statement. Like you're speaking for the house, which I thought was a little odd, but you know, I mean,
That sounds like something out of a movie.
yeah, yeah. It's a crazy house, so we highly
Yeah.
recommend. Now I did go back like 4 years later because Stephanie, who went with us before, just absolutely wanted to go back. We really wanted Teresa to go. She wouldn't go, but
nope.
it
You
wasn't
did
as
go
crazy.
back.
Yeah, it wasn't as crazy. We got a lot of REM pod hits, but that electric feel was not there that night. You know, and you know, if people don't, you know, think you go to places and it's always hopping and everything else, you can go to the same place every single time and get a different experience. And sometimes you might not even get
Totally.
anything.
Mhm.
So it was a totally different experience. You know, it was a better experience. It didn't feel as evil and heavy. So I don't know. I blame it on Teresa from the first go round. So.
That's fine. It's fine. You can blame it on me.
Jeez.
It's my
Well, you're never
beacon.
going back anyway, so it doesn't
Nope.
matter,
Oh
right?
no, I will never go
Nope.
back to that house. No way.
That's something. Okay, so Brandon, let's probably wrap up here pretty quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say though, with like the speaking for the house, almost reminds me of like the Hinsdale house in New York. This old Ed and Lorraine Warren case, where they actually tried
Yeah.
to do an exorcism because they felt like the house itself had become alive, like it had gotten its own spirit. Just kind of what that reminded me of.
Yeah.
They tried doing an exorcism actually on the house and it failed. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, just to wrap up, I don't know if you have any investigations or upcoming events, or if you want to share like where people can find information about your group or whatever.
Yeah, right now we're just working on planning our 2022 travel trips. So we're getting kind of going there. But if anyone wants to get a hold of us, it's croixparanormal.com. If you're interested in renting out the Boyd House for the night, you can find us on Facebook, or our website is with Croix Paranormal as well. And then you can also just hit us up on email at boydhouse217@yahoo.com for any additional information or requests to spend the night there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So like for our upcoming guest, we still got to figure out the exact order, but we have in probably upcoming Tommy from Tommy Amongst the Tombstones YouTube channel. So a paranormal investigator, and Drew's Ellsworth McRae of Living Histories Mysteries YouTube channel.
Well, thanks, you guys. We really appreciate your time tonight, and you've shared some really good stories with us, and our listeners are just going to love every minute of it.
Yeah,
Well, thank you for having us on. It
having
was
us.
fun.
Yeah. Thank
Love
you
to have
so
you on.
much.
Come all the
Have a
time.
good evening.
You
Merry
too.
Family-owned Palermo Pizza underwrites this episode of Grand Rapids Ghost Hunters Paranormal Podcast, located at 901 Gazan Parkway, Southwest Wyoming, and available at 616-531-8300.
The opinions expressed in the preceding program are those of the producer and not necessarily those of WKTV Community Media.